My precious one, stop. Do not move away from this moment. Do not allow the world pressing around you to pull your attention before you have heard what I have to say. I am not a passing voice in the noise of your day. I am not a distant presence that briefly catches your attention and then fades back into the background of your life. I am the one who shaped you, the one who breathed life into you with intention and care, the one who has been with you through every single season you have ever walked. And I am speaking to you now with a love that does not waver and an authority that does not fail. This moment is not an accident. I guided you here. I slowed the rushing current of your thoughts just enough for your spirit to recognize the sound of my voice beneath all the other sounds competing for your time and attention. What you are about to receive in these moments will unlock the blessing you have been carrying in prayer. The one that felt so close and yet so persistently far away. The one you whispered about in the quiet hours when no one else was near enough to hear. I need you to listen now, not with your mind alone, but with the deep and tender places of your heart where truth settles and stays. I know you, my beloved, not the version of you that you present carefully to the world, not the composed exterior you wear when you need to appear capable and unshaken. I know the full truth of you. I know your name. I know the weight that has settled across your shoulders and refused to lift. The kind of weight that follows you from morning into evening and even presses into your sleep at night. I know the prayers you offered in the dark, the ones whispered so softly they barely formed complete words, yet carried every last ounce of your hope. I know how many times your heart asked how much longer. I know the silent sighs you breathed when another day passed and the answer had still not come. I know the brave face you maintained for the people around you while inside you quietly wondered whether the thing you had been hoping for was real, or whether you were simply choosing a story kinder than despair. I have watched you wait, my cherished child, and not once, not for a single breath, did I look away. Let me say this to you plainly, so that nothing is softened or lost in the space between us. I have not forgotten you. I have not passed over you. I have not heard your prayers and chosen silence out of indifference, or because your needs somehow did not register with me. My delay was never absence. My quietness was never rejection. When I did not move in the moment you expected, it was because I was doing something far more careful and far more purposeful than you could perceive from where you were standing. I was protecting you. There were versions of what you asked for that would have arrived too soon, that would have broken you instead of building you, that would have added weight rather than freedom. There were blessings that required a foundation in you that had not yet been fully laid. And so I worked, quietly, carefully, with a love that refuses to place before the one it cherishes something that will ultimately cause harm rather than lasting good. You thought the waiting meant I said no. You thought the silence meant I had moved forward without you. You told yourself stories about what the delay must mean, and most of those stories were not kind to you. But my child, I was building within you a capacity you did not yet know you needed. I was strengthening the places that would be required to carry what I am now releasing. I was shaping your heart so that the miracle would not become a burden, but a true blessing you could steward with wisdom, gratitude, and lasting peace. Every season of waiting was a season of preparation, not punishment, not oversight, not neglect. Preparation. Sacred, deliberate, loving preparation. Declare your amen if you receive this truth. Now hear me, my beloved. This is not a gentle suggestion whispered into the wind where it might or might not be heard. This is a divine announcement spoken over your life with the full authority of heaven standing behind every word. The season has shifted. What was closed is opening. What was sealed is now moving. What pressed against you with the weight of impossibility is bending under my authority. The door you have been standing before, the one that would not yield no matter how faithfully you knocked, is now open before you. Not cracked, not slightly ajar, fully open. And what stands between you and what I have prepared is no longer the door. It is your willingness to step through it with faith rather than hesitation. I see the fear that rises in you even as you hear these words. I see the quiet voice inside you that whispers, "It is too good to be true," that you are not ready, that something will inevitably go wrong, that perhaps this blessing is not really meant for someone with your particular history. That voice is not mine, my precious one. I do not speak in fear. I do not traffic in confusion or in the kind of hope that exists only to be withdrawn. I do not lead my children with whispers designed to make them shrink back from what I have placed before them. I speak in life. I speak in truth. I speak in the perfect timing that I alone can see from the fullness of my vantage point. And I am telling you with unmistakable clarity that now is the very moment you have been praying for. Not a shadow of it, not a partial version, the thing itself. You have been faithful in the waiting. That faithfulness was not invisible to me. It was never invisible. Every tear you cried when no one else was watching, I saw it. I held it close. Every moment you chose to keep trusting me when doubt was hammering loudly and persistently at the door of your heart, I witnessed it, and I was deeply moved by it. Every morning you rose to try again when quitting would have felt easier and far more reasonable, I counted it in the record of your faithfulness. Not one sleepless night was wasted. Not one sincere prayer fell to the floor unheard. I was collecting every word, every cry, every quiet and courageous act of trust, and I was weaving them together into something you will soon be able to see with clarity. Now I am releasing the answer. Do not delay, my cherished child. Do not allow hesitation to rob you of what already belongs to your name. Delay will not make you more ready. Delay will only give the voice of fear more time and more space to grow louder than the voice of faith. When I speak, obedience is what opens the way forward into life. When you move in step with me, the blessings that belong to your name follow close behind you, like a river naturally seeking its course. I am not asking you to understand everything that lies ahead before you take the next step. I am asking you to trust the one who understands it all perfectly. You have carried this burden long enough. You have questioned your worth long enough. You have stood at the edge of your own life wondering whether you deserved what you were hoping for, whether the asking itself was presumptuous. And I want to answer that question with absolute and permanent finality. You are chosen, my beloved. You are deeply and unconditionally loved. You are seen with a clarity and a depth that exceeds what any human eye can offer. I am not simply aware of your existence the way one is aware of something in the periphery of vision. I am invested in your becoming. I am moved by your journey. I am genuinely proud of you with a pride that does not depend on your success or your failure, but rests entirely in the truth of who I made you to be. That is a pride that does not fluctuate. It is steady. It is certain. It is mine. The miracle I am releasing is not only something happening around you in your circumstances. It is something happening within you, in the very interior of who you are. I am healing the places in your heart that you stopped showing people because the wound became too familiar to explain and too deep to expect anyone else to fully understand. I am calming the restlessness in your mind, the endless turning over of what went wrong, what might still go wrong, what you should have done differently, what you might be able to do differently going forward. I am removing the shame you have carried like a second skin, the weight of moments you wish you could undo, the echo of words spoken over you by others that planted lies about your value and your belonging. My grace is greater than all of it, my child, every piece of it without exception. State, I receive this, if your heart is open. Listen to me now. This is your moment, not a future moment dressed in better circumstances, not a moment that arrives after everything has been resolved and all questions have been answered and all conditions have been met. This moment, exactly as it is, with all that is still unresolved around you, with all the questions still present and waiting for their answers, with all the uncertainty still visible on the horizon ahead. This is the moment I have prepared. This is the intersection of your faithfulness and my perfect timing. You asked for a sign that I was still present and still working. This is it. You asked for clarity about the direction forward. I am giving it to you right now, in this moment, through these words settling into your spirit. You asked, in the quietest and most honest part of yourself, whether I was still with you and whether anything was truly coming. I have never left, not for one moment. Do not wait for one more visible confirmation before you allow yourself to believe what I am already speaking directly into your heart. The faith I am calling for is not the kind that requires all the evidence to be assembled first and then decides whether it is safe to trust. The faith I am calling for is the kind that moves while the hands are still trembling, that speaks yes before the full picture has come into view, that trusts the character and the faithfulness of the one extending the invitation more than it trusts the uncertainty of the surrounding circumstances. Step forward, my beloved. I will steady you when the ground feels uneven. I am already ahead of you in what is coming. I have unlocked the doors you could not open with your own strength. I have aligned the people, the timing, the encounters, the opportunities that belong to what I am now releasing into your life. What is coming will bring peace and not confusion. It will bring a growth that does not exhaust you but fulfills you. It will bring life into the places that have felt dry and empty for far too long. My precious one, I want to speak now about the waiting itself, because I do not want you to carry misunderstanding about that season into this new one as hidden weight. I know the kind of tired you experienced. I know it is not the kind that sleep repairs or that a day of quiet resolves. It is the weariness that settles deep into the soul after hope has been stretched beyond what felt sustainable, and endurance has been required long past what seemed reasonable to ask of a single heart. It is the particular exhaustion that comes from holding yourself together day after day, from telling yourself to remain patient when every part of you was longing to see the answer arrive, from performing normalcy and strength for the people around you while inside you were quietly coming undone at the edges. I saw every moment of that, and I want you to know with complete certainty that nothing you experienced in that waiting was hidden from my sight or outside the reach of my care. There were days you wondered if your prayers were too small, if your faith was too weak, if something in your nature disqualified you from receiving what others around you seemed to receive with apparent ease. My child, none of that was true. Not one word of it. Your worth was never measured by the speed of the answer. Your value was never determined by how quickly things changed around you. I do not move in one life faster than another because some deserve more or believe better. I move in each life with purpose specific to that life, with wisdom that accounts for depths that no human comparison can ever reach. The waiting was not empty time. It was sacred ground you were standing on without realizing it. Every moment you waited I was working in ways invisible to you. I was aligning things entirely outside your ability to control. I was removing obstacles that existed beyond your field of vision. I was protecting you from outcomes that would have harmed you rather than helped, from versions of what you asked for that arrived before the container within you was ready to hold them without being broken by them. There were blessings you prayed for that, had they come when you first asked, would have overwhelmed rather than sustained you. I refused to do that to you. The waiting was an act of mercy toward you, even though it never felt like mercy in the middle of it. The waiting was shaping you in places that can only be formed through endurance over time. Patience that grows under sustained pressure is a completely different substance from patience that has never been tested. Trust that survives an extended and unexplained silence is a completely different thing from trust that has only ever lived in seasons of visible movement and promptly answered prayer. The character that forms in the desert waiting season is exactly the character required to carry what I am now releasing. I was not holding you back in punishment or as a consequence of some hidden inadequacy in you. I was building you up with deliberate care. I was forming within you a depth that would make what comes next sustainable, meaningful, and lasting. You learned things in the waiting that could not have been learned any other way, in any shorter time, through any more comfortable path. You learned where your heart truly rested its hope when external signs of hope were removed. You learned which fears needed to be surrendered before they could become anchors dragging silently behind you into every new season. You learned the difference between the things you wanted and the things you actually needed for your wholeness. You learned to bring the full and unpolished truth of your heart to me, rather than the curated and acceptable version. That intimacy, my cherished one, is worth every delayed morning and every silent night. It drew you closer to the one who made you and loves you most completely. It created space for a relationship between us that is deeper and more honest than comfort alone could ever have produced. I know there were moments when you felt invisible, when you wondered if your life had quietly slipped to the margins of what mattered, to the edges of attention and significance. I know the particular ache of watching the world move forward while you appeared to stand still, a feeling left out of a forward movement that seemed available to everyone but you. But my beloved, nothing about your life is marginal to me. You were never in the margins. You were in the center of something I was weaving together with extraordinary care, attending to details you could not see and purposes you could not yet understand. Every delay was a thread being placed with intention into the larger pattern. Every silent season was a necessary part of what was being woven. And the full design, when it is finally visible to you, will take your breath away, because you will see how nothing was wasted. Not the hardest thing, not the longest wait, not the most painful loss. Every single piece belongs to the picture. Now release the weight of that season, my child. You do not need to carry the disappointment of the waiting into the opening that is before you. You do not need to bring the bitterness of unanswered questions into the new chapter I am beginning in your life. You do not need to let the cynicism that formed in the hard places color what is coming. The old road served its purpose. It shaped you, and it brought you here. But it is not the road you are walking now. I am not guiding you back to what was. I am guiding you forward into what I have always intended. And the road ahead is clearer than anything you have walked before. Not because it is entirely free of challenge, but because you will walk it knowing beyond question that I am with you in every part of it. Declare, I trust you, if you believe I am walking beside you. My precious child, I must speak plainly now about something that matters deeply and that love requires me to address clearly. There is a cost to delay, not a punishment I impose from outside, but a natural consequence that forms on the inside when my voice is heard clearly and hesitation answers instead of faith. I know you have learned to pause. I know you have developed the protective habit of saying later, of waiting for more certainty, of requiring that your feelings fully align with the decision before you allow yourself to move. And I understand deeply how that pattern formed. It formed in the places where you were hurt by moving too quickly before, where trust was extended and then broken, where hope was offered with apparent sincerity and then disappointed. I am not dismissing what created that caution in you, but I am telling you, with the love that knows you completely and wants only your wholeness, that the protective pause which once guarded your heart is now standing directly in the way of the blessing I have prepared. When I speak clearly and you hear me, when you feel the unmistakable stirring of recognition in your spirit, and then you choose to wait for something additional before you respond, that waiting opens space for a different voice. Fear moves quickly in the quiet after I have spoken. It reframes what was clear. It transforms a direct invitation into an elaborate risk assessment. Overthinking converts a specific calling into a complicated problem requiring more information before any action could responsibly be taken. And then obedience, which would have been simple and even natural in the first moment of clarity, feels impossibly costly by the fifth. I do not say this to create anxiety in you. I say it because I love you too much to allow you to drift into that confusion when the clarity you need is already present in this moment. Faith is not proven when everything makes sense and the evidence is already assembled on the table before you. Faith is proven exactly here, in the moment where I have spoken, and the circumstances have not yet visibly confirmed what I am saying. You already know what I am asking of you. You already feel the stirring. You already sense the urgency that is not anxiety, but alignment pressing you into the step I have prepared. That is not pressure to be resisted. That is my invitation to be received with a willing and open heart. Choose trust now, while the conviction is fresh. Choose to respond while your heart is still soft to my voice. I will not force your hand. Love never forces. But love does invite, clearly, personally, specifically, and with every intention of seeing you walk fully into everything I have set before you. My beloved child, I want to speak now about the miracle itself, because I do not want you to miss it by looking only in the direction you decided it would arrive from. The miracle coming in this season of your life may not wear the exact face you drew in your imagination during the years of waiting. It may come through a door you had forgotten you once prayed to be opened. It may arrive looking smaller than what you expected at first, until you watch it unfold into something that changes the entire landscape of your life, and makes you understand why it could not have come any other way. Do not limit what I am doing by demanding it conform precisely to the picture you constructed during the waiting. I always exceed the request, my precious one, when you give me the room to work without the constraint of expectation pressing on every side of what I am building. What I am releasing brings restoration where loss took hold and refused to let go. It brings clarity where confusion had become so familiar you stopped expecting to be able to see through it. It brings movement where stagnation pressed against you for so long that standing still had begun to feel like your permanent state. I am not only shifting circumstances around you, I am renewing something at the very root of who you are. I am replacing hesitation with courage that does not require perfect conditions before it acts. I am replacing fear with a peace that does not collapse when circumstances become difficult. I am replacing doubt with a quiet assurance that comes from truly knowing my character, not from calculating the probability of a favorable outcome. My child, I have also been preparing the people you are about to encounter. I have been working in lives you are not yet aware of, positioning hearts and opening doors and arranging circumstances that will align with the next chapter of your story. You will not have to force these things into existence. You will not have to strive or push or maneuver your way into what belongs to you. When I prepare something for you, it fits with a naturalness that becomes its own confirmation. When I align an encounter, you will know it by the unmistakable peace that accompanies it, rather than the familiar anxiety of wondering whether you should keep pushing or let it go. What I have prepared for you will come without the desperate striving that has previously worn you down. There are gifts stored along the path ahead that you will discover as you walk forward with me. Unexpected favors that arrive without you having arranged for them. Moments of beauty that break through ordinary days and remind you that I am near, and that I am good, and that I am paying attention to the smallest details of your life. Connections that feed your spirit in ways you did not even know you were hungry for until the nourishment arrived and you recognized it as exactly what you needed. These are not random occurrences. I placed them along the path before you ever set foot on it. They are evidence of a love that anticipated your need before you felt it, a provision that was prepared before the prayer was formed. Walk forward, and you will find them. I want to speak now about the seed, my precious one, because walking into a new season requires more than intention and more than sincere desire. There is always an act of trust that precedes the harvest, a moment where what you hold must be released before it can multiply in the field of my provision. I am not asking this as a transaction between you and heaven, but I know that the grip of earthly security, the holding tightly to what you have out of fear that nothing more is coming, is a barrier the heart must release before it can truly open to receive what I am pouring out. As an act of worship and trust, place a weight of your provision upon the stone altar of this work. Let your gift stand as the physical evidence that you believe my supply exceeds your need, and my faithfulness is greater than your fear. When you release this portion, the iron gates will move. What you sow into my purpose, I return pressed down, shaken together, and running over in the full measure of my faithfulness. My beloved, there is something else I want to address, something I have seen in the depths of your heart that you may not have named clearly even to yourself, but that I perceive with complete clarity. There is a part of you that wonders whether you are truly known, not acknowledged, not listed somewhere in the record of those who have believed and prayed. Truly known, deeply, completely, without remainder known. There is a profound difference between being seen from a distance and being understood from the inside, between being recognized and being cherished without any conditions attached. And in a world where relationships so often carry hidden requirements, where love is frequently conditional on performance and approval, must continuously be earned and then maintained, that wondering makes entirely understandable sense. But I want to remove that uncertainty from you now with absolute and permanent finality. I know you, my cherished one, not a summary of you, not the highlight reel of your best moments. I know the full and complete landscape of who you are, every shadow and every ray of light, every struggle and every longing, every place you have carefully hidden from others, and every place where you have exhausted yourself trying to be enough. I knew all of this before you drew your first breath, and not one thing I have observed in you since that first moment has changed my love for you. Not one revelation has caused me to reconsider my commitment to your life. You are not a project I might abandon when the work becomes complicated or when progress is slow. You are my child, and that relationship does not depend on how well you perform or how consistent your faith has been. This means the approval you have been searching for, the settled sense of being enough exactly as you are, the feeling of belonging fully without reservation. These are not things you need to earn or achieve or wait until you feel worthy of. They are already yours in me. They have always been yours. The wound of unworthiness that has shaped so many of your choices and colored so many of your relationships was never based in truth. It was a lie that grew in the absence of this certainty. I am replacing it now with something that does not shift, does not require maintenance, does not erode under pressure. Your worth comes from me, the one who made you on purpose and for purpose. It comes from nothing else and from no one else. State, I believe if you receive this as truth for your life. My precious child, hear me now on the matter of fear. Not only the surface fears you are aware of and name when they arise. I am speaking of the deeper structural fears woven into the framework of how you move through the world. The ones so long present that you have begun to mistake them for personality, rather than recognizing them as wounds that never fully healed. The fear that if you hope too openly, you will only be more devastated when things fall apart. The fear that good things are fundamentally temporary and fragile. The fear that somewhere beneath the spiritual truth you hold to in your best moments, you might still be the person you were before the hard seasons shaped you, still not quite enough. I am dismantling those fears in you, my beloved, not working carefully around them, dismantling them at the foundation, because they were never built on truth. And what is not built on truth cannot remain standing when my light shines directly into it. The fear of fragility was formed in real moments when real things broke. The fear of loss was formed in real seasons when real things were taken from you. I honor the reality of those experiences. But the conclusion fear drew from them was wrong. It concluded that loss defines the future, that what broke once will inevitably break again, that hope is a liability rather than the gift I gave you for a specific reason. I see every good thing that is moving toward you. I see the encounters that will renew your faith in people and in possibility. I see the answered prayers that will arrive with such specific precision that you will recognize my hand in them immediately and laugh with the joy of someone found after being lost. I see the morning when you wake and the heaviness in your chest is simply gone, replaced by the quiet, steady peace that comes only from me. You were not made to brace yourself against life, my precious one. You were made to open to it. The life I designed for you is not defined by endurance alone. It is not a continuous exercise in surviving difficult things and measuring gratitude by the fact that things were not worse. There is genuine joy ahead of you. There is laughter that rises from an untroubled and deep place. There is the particular satisfaction that comes from walking in the center of the purpose I made you for and feeling the rightness of it. That is not too much to expect. That is precisely what I intended when I formed you. Walk with me now into this new season, with your hands held open rather than guarded against the good that is coming. Let the expectation of good replace the bracing for difficulty as your settled posture. Not a naivete that refuses to acknowledge hardship, but the confident peace of one who knows that regardless of what any given day brings, you are held by the one who holds all things, and what is being worked out in your life is being worked out by a love you can fully trust. That is not a feeling to chase. It is a truth to stand on. Stand on it steadily, my child, and let it hold you securely when your own strength runs low and the road feels longer than expected. My beloved, I want to speak about purpose now, because what I am releasing in your life is not simply a restoration of what was lost. It is an acceleration toward what was always intended, toward the fullness of the design specific to you alone. There is a way in which you carry my image into the world that no other person can replicate. There is a contribution you are positioned to make that belongs uniquely to the life you have lived and the person you have become through all of it, including the difficult parts. And that purpose is not meant to remain hidden or dormant or perpetually deferred to a future season when conditions feel better suited. I placed gifts within you that you have likely treated as ordinary, things that come so naturally to you that you do not recognize them as the extraordinary and irreplaceable instruments they are. The way you perceive things that others in the same room somehow miss entirely. The way you carry people through their most difficult moments without even being fully aware you are doing it. The particular quality of your presence that makes people feel less alone. These are not accidents of temperament. These are design. These are the specific expressions of my nature that I chose to place in you and not in any other, so that the people whose paths cross yours would encounter something of me through encountering you. There is a horizon ahead of you that holds the full expression of what I made you for. You are moving toward it. Every step of the road behind you, including the detours that felt most like going backward, was always curving toward that horizon. Every delay that felt like loss was actually preparation for a depth of understanding you will need when you arrive. You are not arriving empty-handed or underprepared. You are arriving shaped in exactly the ways that matter, formed by exactly the experiences that were needed, carrying exactly the kind of wisdom that can only come from having endured and not been destroyed. Trust my assessment of your readiness over your own sense of inadequacy, my child. I see what has been formed in you. It is more than enough. Let me also speak to you about the people you will meet in this new season, my precious one. Because the connections ahead are not incidental. I have been preparing hearts that will recognize what I placed in you. I have been working in people whose paths are being aligned with yours, so that what you carry can be given and what you need can be received. The loneliness that may have accompanied the waiting season is not the permanent climate of your life. It was a season, and seasons change. The community that belongs to who you are becoming is being assembled, not through your striving to find it or build it, but through my faithful arrangement of what belongs together. You will walk into spaces in this coming season and feel the rightness of them in a way that reminds you of what I promised. Hold that feeling. Let it confirm what I am saying now. I want to speak also about the language of your inner world in this new season, my beloved, because how you speak to yourself matters more than you may have recognized. The internal narrative that runs beneath your conscious thoughts, the one that comments on every experience and interprets every outcome, has for too long been shaped by the voices of the waiting, rather than the voice of what I have spoken over you. You have been fluent in the language of insufficiency and doubt for long enough. I am teaching you a new language in this season. The language of the one who is chosen and known. The language of the one who is held and guided. The language of the one who can walk forward without perfect clarity, because the one guiding them is perfectly clear. Begin practicing that language now, my child, in the moments before you sleep, and in the moments when you first wake. Let what I have spoken over you be what you hear first in the morning, before the world adds its commentary. My precious one, I want to speak to you about obedience in this new season, because I do not want that word to carry the weight of performance or pressure. Obedience in this season simply means saying yes before you feel fully prepared. It means taking the one step that is clear before waiting for all the following steps to become visible. It means speaking the word I have placed in your heart even before the trembling fully stops. It means releasing the outcome into my hands even while your hands still want to grip it and manage it and make certain it turns out correctly. None of that requires perfection from you. None of it requires that you first resolve every remaining fear or answer every open question. It only requires that you decide in this moment that my voice is the one you will follow, that my character is the one you will stake your hope on, that my love is the one you will trust to carry what you cannot carry yourself. That single decision, made honestly and without reservation, is the beginning of everything that follows in this new season. The miracle that is here is not fragile, my beloved. It does not depend on your flawlessness or your consistency or your ability to maintain perfect faith without wavering. It rests in my power, and my power does not waver when you stumble or falter or take a step that needs correcting. I am strong enough to sustain everything I begin. I am wise enough to guide you through whatever unfolds in each next step. I am patient enough to stay with you through every part of the journey, including the parts where you lose sight of my hand for a moment and have to stop and return to trust. You do not need to see the whole road stretched out before you in order to begin walking. You only need to take the step that is immediately before you, and the next one will come into view as you take it. This is how I have always led. This is how the journey with me has always worked. One step of trust revealing the next. Faithfulness in the small things confirming the wisdom of moving into the larger things. The peace that follows each surrendered moment becoming the evidence you need to surrender what comes after it. My cherished child, I want to speak to you now about the interior life you are stepping into. The life that exists beneath the surface of your circumstances. For too long, your inner world has been a place of conflict rather than a place of rest. The voices of fear and doubt have been louder there than the voice of my truth. The record of failures has played more often than the record of what I have spoken over you. This is changing. In this new season, I am restoring your inner life to the peace and the clarity it was always meant to carry. I am quieting the noise of accusation and condemnation that has followed you through too many days. I am replacing the static of anxiety with the settled tone of my presence, the quiet certainty that I am here, that I am working, that I am for you in ways that cannot be reversed by circumstance or by the opinions of others. Your inner world matters to me because it is the place from which everything else flows. As your inner life comes into alignment with my truth about you, everything that flows outward from it will begin to change. The way you make decisions, the way you receive love, the way you extend it, the way you engage with the calling on your life. All of it begins inside, and inside is where I am working most deliberately in this season. There is a restoration coming in this season that goes beyond the external, my precious one, and I want you to know it is coming so you will recognize it and receive it when it arrives. There are relationships that were damaged or lost that I am going to touch. There are bonds that felt beyond repair that I have not written off. There are conversations not yet had that carry the power to heal what has been fractured. I am not telling you this to build a specific expectation that may look different from what I actually do. I am telling you this because the scope of what I am doing in your life is larger than the visible circumstances in front of you. I am working on multiple levels simultaneously. What you can see and what you cannot see are both active. Trust me with what is visible, and trust me equally with what remains hidden. Both are in my hands. Both are held with the same care and the same intention to bring you fully into the wholeness I designed for you from the beginning. My precious one, as these words draw toward their close, I do not want what has been spoken here to lift away from you when the ordinary demands of life rise again around you. I want these truths to become anchors in you. Fixed points you return to when the questions rise again. when fear attempts to rebuild what I am dismantling, when a future season of waiting tempts you to forget what I have declared over you in this moment. Come back to the truth that you are fully known and completely chosen. Return to the certainty that my timing has never been wrong, and my love has never changed. Rest again in the confidence that what I begin in you, I carry through to completion, with the same care and intention with which I began it. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not behind where you should be. You are not disqualified by anything you have done or left undone. You are my beloved, my cherished child, the one I watch over with a care that never sleeps, never grows distracted, and never turns its attention elsewhere. The miracle is not approaching slowly from a great distance. It is here, already present in this encounter, already active in the shifting happening in your spirit, as these truths settle into the ground of who you are. Receive it. Do not turn it away by insisting it cannot be for someone with your particular history. It was prepared specifically and intentionally for someone exactly like you. It was designed with the full and clear knowledge of everything you are and everything you have walked through. The path before you is clear, and my presence within it is certain and constant. The love guiding your steps will not be withdrawn or made conditional on your performance. There is nothing ahead of you that I have not already accounted for. Nothing that will surprise me or find me unprepared. Nothing that will cause me to step back from what I have promised you. I go before you to prepare what is coming. I walk beside you so that you are never alone within it. I stand behind you as your steady and unmoving rear guard. Every angle of your journey is covered by a love that is not passive or theoretical, but active, present, personal, and entirely committed to the completion of everything it has promised you. So go forward now, my precious one, not with the cautious and hesitant step of one who is unsure whether the ground will hold beneath them, but with the steady and confident step of one who knows that the hand holding them will never let go, no matter what the terrain looks like ahead. The miracle is here. The season has turned. The door stands fully open. The preparation is complete. And I am with you in every step that follows from this moment. Not just the easy steps where faith feels natural and the way forward is well lit. Every step, the uncertain ones, the ones that require you to move before you are ready and speak before you feel equipped and trust before you fully understand. I am in all of them. I am committed to all of them. And I will not leave you in the middle of what I have begun. Walk forward, my beloved child. Walk forward into the full and abundant and deeply purposeful life I always intended for the one I call my own. Declare your amen if you are ready to walk forward.
We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.